Đúng một cái click tạo ra được những hình ảnh như thế này, hay tạo ra nhiều kiểu tóc khác nhau chỉ từ một tấm hình.
Hello, hello, high level listeners. We've got our final episode of season 3 today. And to help you enjoy the end of our season of side by side American and British English here at High Level Listening, we're going to be talking about sharing your favorite memories of your childhood when you were a kid and help you share those fun memories and fun stories in high level English.
Yes, that's right. This episode is quite a nice one. I think we'll talk about nice moments that we remember when we were young. And then, of course, we'll help you with your naturally spoken grammar, and we'll teach you how to set up your story in high-level English so you can share your favorite memories and stories and feel confident in your English speaking. As always, we will read a short script from both of us, Kat's in American English and then mine in more British English, and we're both talking about one of our favorite childhood memories.
Absolutely. I'll go first with an American English script about my childhood memories, and then Mark will share his in his British English. So after that, we'll break everything down line by line so you don't miss a thing.
Yes, so Kat will go first. Can you tell us a nice memory you have from your childhood?
Yeah, for sure. One of my favorite childhood memories is riding bikes with my friends in the summer. We used to spend hours outside just riding bikes around the neighborhood, racing each other, and stopping for ice cream when it got too hot. I remember feeling so free, like we could go anywhere. Sometimes we'd stay out until the streetlights came on, which was always our signal to go home. It was such a simple time, but it made me really happy. Even now, whenever I go for a bike ride, it really brings back those fond memories.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that is
Nice,
a lovely memory. We told you this would be a lovely episode.
Yeah, it feels good. It even feels good just thinking about it. Yeah.
Happy memories.
Right, exactly. So what about you, Mark? Do you have any nice memories you'd like to share of you as a kid?
Yes, some of my fondest childhood memories are spending days at the seaside with my family. During school holidays, we'd be up at the crack of dawn, bundle into the car and set off for the coast. I always loved splashing about in the sea, digging massive holes in the sand with my sister. We do a bit of rock pooling too, trying to find little crabs or see who could collect the nicest shells. And then obviously we'd go and have a proper bag of fish and chips. It always tastes best by the seaside. So even today, every time I hear seagulls, it reminds me of those good times.
That's nice too.
Yeah, they're both very nice. A little bit shorter as well. We are trying to make the episodes a little bit shorter and more digestible. Let us know if that suits you in the comments below. And don't worry if you didn't catch everything we said. We're about to go all the way back through. If you want more study materials like the PDF transcript, some listening activities, a vocabulary word lists, and an ad-free version of this episode, you can get our Season 3 study pack if you click the link in the description below. Anyway, let's go back to the start of the script and break it down. Kat, can you tell us a nice memory from your childhood again?
Yeah, for sure. One of my favorite childhood memories is riding bikes with my friends in the summer. Okay, so Mark asked me, can I do something? Yeah, for sure. For sure. So it looks like for sure, but I would probably say it with the same sound, for sure. For sure. And Mark's going to go ahead and wave the flag at me.
Immediately.
Immediately.
Yeah, in a British accent, the or and sure have the same sound too, but it's for sure.
For sure. For sure. It does sound very American when I say it, and yours sounds very British. So one of my favorite childhood memories is. So we're actually connecting one and is. It is. It is, right? What's your favorite memory? Well, it's this. One of my favorite childhood memories is, and then an activity, riding bikes with friends, going to the movie theater, visiting my grandma, seeing my family, traveling with friends. One of my favorite childhood memories is, and then we're going to do an activity with the ing. Now, one of my favorite childhood memories. So one of my favorite childhood memories is riding bikes with my friends in the summer. Oh yeah, it was really nice. That is a good childhood memory for me, for sure. All right, Mark, do you want to start us off? Can you share a nice childhood memory that you're quite fond of?
Yes, some of my fondest childhood memories are from spending days at the seaside with my family. Okay, so we're talking about happy memories, and a common word that we use instead of happy is fond. A happy memory is a fond memory. I've used a different form, my fondest childhood memory. Fondest would be like the best or the happiest. You don't have to say the fondest, though. It's my fondest. Some of my fondest childhood memories. So Kat was saying one is. I'm saying some are. So it would be a fond memory is, my fondest memory is, but some of my fondest memories are. So remember, they have to match. So some of my fondest childhood memories are from spending days at the seaside. So like Kat said, riding bikes, I'm also using a gerund, spending days at the seaside. At the seaside is at the beach, but in the UK, sometimes the water is quite cold, so we don't always go swimming, but we like to be beside the sea to watch the waves. There's often activities to do or food down there as well. So that's.
Bạn có muốn biến bức ảnh bình thường thành tác phẩm nghệ thuật tuyệt đẹp với Dreamina Image 4.0? Chỉ cần nhập từ khóa, bạn sẽ có ngay.
At the seaside. We're not necessarily swimming, but we're just enjoying being by the beach. Would you say at the seaside in the US as well, or is that a British phrase?
Maybe somewhere in the New England area, kind of the northeast area, they might say the seaside, but Americans love the beach. We just love the beach from down through California, where I'm from in Texas. We have a huge coastline down south. A lot of people will call it the beach.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So back to your side of the script now. What did you used to do when you were riding your bikes?
We used to spend hours outside just riding bikes around the neighborhood, racing each other, and stopping for ice cream when it got too hot. So when we talk about things that we used to do, we used to spend hours outside. We used to go to my grandma's house. It's U-S-E-D, used to. But when we shove it together, we're going to say used to. Or sometimes people say used to, used to, used to. And we used to do something. We used to visit. We used to go. We used to eat. But when we use the word spend time doing something, okay? So we used to spend time riding bikes, racing each other, stopping for ice cream when it got too hot. So we used to spend time, and then all the other ones are going to need ing. Riding, racing, and shopping, or stopping, or anything with ing.
Yeah, anything. Yeah, crashing, falling off, skidding, doing wheelies. Lots of things you could do on your bikes. Yeah.
Exactly. So we used to spend hours outside just riding bikes around the neighborhood. We're not always going anywhere specific. It's really just for fun. Riding bikes around the neighborhood, racing each other, trying to go the fastest, racing each other, and stopping for ice cream. Oh, let's get some ice cream. Let's stop for some ice cream. All right. So Mark, your side of the script, what did you used to do?
Well, during school holidays, we'd be up at the crack of dawn, bundle into the car and set off for the coast. So yes, I might use my British flag here. When did we go? During the school holidays. We use holidays more often in the UK. School holidays in England are between July and September. It's 6 weeks off where students, kids don't have to go to school. Those are the school holidays. You might also hear the summer holidays. So yes, so there's a lot of families go on vacation or go on holiday during that time. We would be up at the crack of dawn. That is very, very early. The crack of dawn, it's the very first light that you see. When the sun comes over the horizon, that long line of light is the crack of dawn. In the summertime, that could be like 5 in the morning. So that's very early. But so many people want to go to the beach. You want to get up early so you can be there first and beat the traffic so it doesn't take too long. Then we would bundle into the car. That's bringing a lot of stuff. Beach chairs, towels, a cooler bag, sun cream, hats, maybe some inflatable things to sit on the water. We need to pack a lot of stuff. And a more fun word for pack is to bundle. So I put myself and all my stuff, we bundle into the car and set off for the coast. Set off is to leave. We would leave for the coast. We would set off for the coast. So in Kat's answer, she was using we used to. I'm using a different structure you can use to talk about your memories. We would. We would focuses more on the actions. So it's we would and then a verb. So we would go, we would swim, we would drive, we would visit. And I don't use this structure if I'm talking about my feelings or emotions. If you said we would be happy or we would feel happy, that's not when we use that structure. We use this for what you do and what you would often, frequently, or always do in the past. If you want to talk about your emotions, you would say we were happy, we felt happy. But I'm focusing on getting up, bundling into the car and setting off. So I'm going to use would. We would get up. We would bundle. We would set off. Okay, so back to your side of the script, Kat. How did you feel when you were riding around on your bike?
I remember feeling so free, like we could go anywhere. This is a really easy one as well. We've got a lot of structures talking about the past. So I would do something, we used to do something, and I remember doing something.
Whisperflow delivers what Reed calls the future of AI interaction. Here's how it works.
Instead of typing, just talk. Whisperflow cleans it up instantly.
Reed explains that voice is iterative by default.
Oh yeah, I remember going there. Oh yeah, I remember feeling really happy. Or I remember feeling so free. And this is a good way to talk about your feelings in the past, right? I remember feeling so happy. I remember everyone was so happy. And again, we can use these with an ing verb to just make it as something that was happening in the past, right? Yeah, I remember feeling so
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Memberships. I'm Kat, your American teacher on high level listening.
And I'm Mark, your British teacher. We made High Level Listening to help you take your English skills to the next level with high quality videos and podcast episodes in natural English.
So, are you ready to take your English studying to the next level? We are really excited to start offering more to our listeners by offering memberships and members-only extras.
Memberships are ways to support us here at High Level Listening. This support helps us make more
good that day. Or I remember going to the beach. I remember riding bikes with my friends. I remember feeling so free, like, or we could say as if, or like, we could go anywhere. Right? Now, this is the ability. This is the ability. We can go anywhere. We could go anywhere. Maybe this one? Yeah, let's choose this one. I remember feeling so free, like we could go anywhere. Oh, that was nice. I guess I can go
Right.
anywhere I want now, but things
Now
are
you're
a
a
little
grown-up.
bit, well, maybe more, maybe more responsibility nowadays.
Right. Yeah, you could go anywhere or we could do anything. You feel so free as a
Exactly.
kid. Got no
Anything you
responsibilities.
Any choice you want. All right. So, Mark, we're talking about you used to go down to the beach, right? Or down to the coast, right? So, what did you do there down by the coast?
I always loved splashing about in the sea and digging massive holes in the sand with my sister. Okay, so Kat used a structure, I remember feeling. I'm also going to use a structure with an ing. I always loved splashing. So if you really enjoyed something as a memory, and if you did it a lot of times, I always loved spending time with my grandparents. I always loved eating the food at that restaurant. And for me, I always loved splashing about in food, spending time with my grandparents. I always loved eating something of ling. I'm also going to digging massive holes in the sand with my sister. Okay, so Kat used a structure, I remember feeling. I'm also going to use a structure with an ing. I always loved splashing. So if you really enjoyed something as a memory, and if you did it a lot of times, I always loved spending time with my grandparents. I always loved eating the food at that restaurant. And for me, I always loved splashing about in the sea. So if you, right, British flag, if you hit the water, you splash. And if I'm jumping in the water and having fun and being silly, I'm splashing about. Splashing about. The about part really sounds like fun, like kids playing in the sea. Is that why you waved your flag for about?
Yeah, I would probably say something like, I was just splashing around.
ClickUp completely replaced my messy workflow. It was chaos. Docs here, tasks there, meetings everywhere.
Right. Yes. So the same thing applies if the UK says about, the US probably says around. So I'd say messing about, playing about, splashing about.
Faffing about.
Faffing about. Yes, we've got a video about that one.
That's so British.
But yes, so I said I always loved, so I need to say splashing. And I mentioned a second activity, and that also needs ing. So I loved splashing about in the sea and digging massive holes in the sand. I don't know why, it's such a fun activity to get a spade or a shovel and dig a hole, like a very deep round circle. I don't know why we do this. I still enjoy doing this now. But when I went to the seaside with my family, I always loved digging massive holes in the sand with my sister. All right, so back to your side. You're riding around on your bikes all day. When would you finally go home?
Sometimes we'd stay out until the streetlights came on, which was always our signal to go home. So sometimes we'd stay out. We would stay out. Okay. Now, Mark has talked about this structure. We would stay out. I remember staying out. We used to stay out. We would stay out. So we'd stay out until the streetlights came on. We'd stay out when? Until the streetlights came on. Okay, so that happened right? In the past, so we're going to switch it back to came. We would stay out until the street lights boop, came on or turned on, or the street lights finally turned on. Switched on, that's a good word too. So we'd stay out until the street lights came on, which was always our signal to go home. It's getting dark, right? It's getting dark. Sometimes we'd stay out until the streetlights came on, which was always our signal to go home.
Yes, I guess back then you didn't have a smartphone, you maybe didn't have a watch, or didn't have any way of telling the time.
I didn't have a phone at all, smartphone or not.
Same.
I didn't have a phone at all. I don't even know how my parents knew where I was.
You could have been anywhere.
I mean, we would ride bikes for hours and hours and hours. So I don't know. I mean, all over my neighborhood, we had no idea where we were.
Right? They trusted their children, right?
Yeah. All right. So anything else that you'd like to do whenever you'd go to the beach, to the coast?
We do a bit of rock pooling too, trying to find little crabs or see who could collect the nicest shells. So another activity we'd do a bit of rock pooling. So rock pooling, if you go to the British coast, you might find rocky parts, and there are little holes or pools in them, and they're full of water, and lots of little creatures live in the pools. It could be crabs, shells, shellfish, all kinds of things. And rock pooling is just looking at these pools and seeing what's inside. We don't recommend taking anything from the pool, just look. And sometimes there's different creatures in different pools, and it's fun to do as a kid. So we do a bit of rock pooling. I know I said we would, but do a bit of needs an ing. So we do a bit of swimming. We do a bit of walking. We do a bit of climbing. So I need the ing there again. So we do a bit of rock pooling, trying to find little crabs, or seeing who could collect the nicest shells. So these are common seaside activities. All right, back to your side, Kat. How did all this cycling, being free, make you feel?
Honestly, it was such a simple time, but it made me really happy. So like Mark and I were talking about, there was no cell phone. I mean, we would watch a little TV, but honestly, I can't remember spending too much time in front of the TV with my friends. It was such a simple time, right? It was, in the past, such a simple time, but it made me really happy. So it made me really happy. These memories make me really happy. So it causes me to become happy, right? It made me happy. Cycling around with my friends made me happy. Spending the evenings waiting until the streetlights came on made me really happy. It was such a simple time, but it made me really happy. All right, Mark, one of my favorite things when we go to the seaside is eating. So what about food? What did you eat?
Then obviously we'd go and have a proper bag of fish and chips. It always tastes best by the seaside. Okay, so I've got one more example of would. Obviously, we would go and have a bag of fish and chips. So yeah, that's a clear flag. We would, again, contracted to we'd go. And especially when we talk about food, we often say we'd go and have. We'd go and have. So I said, we go and have a proper bag of fish and chips. You might say, we'd go and have an ice cream. We'd go and have cookies. We'd go and have a curry. I think that means we walked to a restaurant or walked to a stall and ate it there. But we go and have is a really common combination. The fish and chips at the seaside is the best because it's fresh. Somebody caught the fish that morning and then brought it to the restaurant. So I know I'm talking about our memories, but I think it's still true now. Even today and forever, It always tastes best by the seaside. So I'm switching tense because this is true now. It always tastes best by the seaside. This is really true. All the best fish and chips I've ever had in my life has been by the seaside.
Daughter's wedding is in a month. I don't want us to look like Beauty and the Beef.
Darling, relax. We have plenty of time. Just start doing Tai Chi walking and the guests will be asking you for weight loss advice.
Tai Chi walking?
Trust me.
My husband is 57, 264 pounds, and his young trainer tells him he needs to walk 10,000 steps a day to lose weight.
How old is his trainer?
He's 26.
Yeah. Exactly what I thought.
A 26-year-old kid trying to fix a 57-year-old body weight, that's the real problem.
Your husband doesn't need advice from someone who's never felt joint pain or a slow metabolism.
The truth is, anyone can walk 20 times less and still get better results.
Really? So what?
All right, so last line of your script. I suppose it's nice to think back of those memories.
Even now, whenever I go for a bike ride, it brings back those fond memories. So even now, so I used to do these things. We would do these things, but that's all in the past, right? Well, even now, or surprisingly now, whenever I go for a bike ride, it brings back those fond memories. I don't always have time for a bike ride. I like to go for a bike ride just to spend some time outdoors, maybe get a little exercise, but definitely not like I used to. So whenever I go for a bike ride, meaning each time, whenever I go for a bike ride, it brings back those fond memories. So the bike riding makes me think of these nice and happy memories. It brings back the memories. It brings me back. It brings back those fond memories, which is really nice, honestly. All right. Do you kind of still go out to the coast? Do things remind you of those good memories?
Yes, even today, every time I hear seagulls, it reminds me of those good times. So Kat said, even now. I'm using a similar phrase with the same meaning, even today. So my childhood was a long time ago, but even today, still today, so many years later, even today, every time I hear seagulls, it reminds me of those good times. Seagulls are those birds that live by the sea. They often steal your chips or steal snacks if you're not careful. But every time I hear seagulls, it reminds me of those good times. It reminds me is when something now gives me a memory. So maybe a smell. If you smell some food or a recipe, oh, it reminds me of my mum's cooking. Or if you smell certain flowers, it takes you to another place. So it reminds me of a place. So it reminds me of that trip. It reminds me of those holidays, or it reminds me of that time. With time, a good combination you can use is good times. We've got fond memories, simple times, like Kat said, and good times. Good times are in the past. Good, happy memories. Sometimes you might say, oh yeah, I miss those good times. Or I think back to my days at university. Say, those were good times. If you're meeting up with a friend and you've known each other for a long time and you're talking about something you did in the past, at the end of your reminiscing, you'll probably go, yeah, good times. These are happy memories, fond memories.
All right, so we've covered all the great vocabulary and sentence structures that you need in order to talk a little bit about your childhood memories. Just to make it a little bit easier for you guys, we are going to review the script once more. So let's have a quick look. One of my favorite childhood memories is riding bikes with friends in the summer. We used to spend hours outside just riding bikes around the neighborhood, racing each other, and stopping for ice cream. When it got too hot. I remember feeling so free, like we could go anywhere. Sometimes we'd stay out until the streetlights came on, which was always our signal to go home. It was such a simple time, but it made me really happy. Even now, whenever I go for a bike ride, it really brings back those fond memories.
And yes, here's my script one more time so you can hear all the structures that we've used again. Some of my fondest childhood memories are
out until the street lights with friends in the summer. We used to spend hours outside just riding bikes around the neighborhood, racing each other, and stopping for ice cream when it got too hot. I remember feeling so free, like we could go anywhere. Sometimes we'd stay out until the streetlights came on, which was always our signal to go home. It was such a simple time, but it made me really happy. Even now, whenever I go for a bike ride, it really brings back those fond memories.
And yes, here's my script one more time so you can hear all the structures that we've used again. Some of my fondest childhood memories are from spending days at the seaside with my family. During school holidays, we'd be up at the crack of dawn, bundle into the car and set off for the coast. During school holidays, we'd be up at the crack of dawn, bundle into the car and set off for the coast. I always loved splashing about in the sea and digging massive holes in the sand with my sister. We'd do a bit of rock pooling too, trying to find little crabs or see who could collect the nicest shells. And then obviously we'd go and have a proper bag of fish and chips. It always tastes best by the seaside. And even today, every time I hear seagulls, it reminds me of those good times.
Thank you so much, everybody, for studying with us today and in all of Season 3. Now, don't forget that the Season 3 High-Level Listening Study Pack is available for you to take your English to the next level. You get PDF worksheets for this episode and all of our Season 3 episodes, listening activities, MP3 downloads, and all of the transcripts for every Season 3 episode. The link is in the description below. We really think that it'll help you get the most out of these episodes here on High-Level Listening.
Yes, thanks for listening to this season once again. Season 4 will be coming soon, probably in a couple of weeks' time. But don't forget, you can also practice with us on YouTube right now. Tell us, do you have any fond childhood memories? Can you tell us about them? Can you try and use some of the grammar or sentence structures you saw in this video, like used to and would? We read and reply to every comment we get here on YouTube, so great chance to practice with us and get some corrections and some more culture and insights too.
Thanks so much, everyone. We'll see you very soon for another episode here on High Level Listening.